Hello and welcome back to Sprite Guard Plays HyperRogue. We are on a very long and winding adventure, and I have just about lost track of what it is that we are trying to accomplish. We have found all three of the new orbs. We have found a key and then failed to return to the orb of Yendor that it originated from. We have set out on a bit of a Hyperstone quest. And so I do know that we need still the, the vineyard and the Red Rock Valley, and that is going to require probably finding some orbs. I know that we need an Orb of the Dragon to attack both of those. Orbs of Ether are also useful in the Red Rock Valley, though they are not useful for the vineyard because, of course, we need to defeat the vineyard in order to get them in the first place. Now, this fire elemental could actually end up being quite useful. It's going to, start some fires. Let's see if we can kind of lead it. Let's see, that's going to burn down an entire row. I'm wondering if that's enough. We can try to lead it. Let's see, we have to now escape. How do we escape? We have one charge of teleport left. I made a horrible mistake. But I believe we can just head around the fires, and that was very lucky that we had that one charge left. So let's see, 4 turns left on these. 1 turn left, there we go. And now we can get in here and fight this fire elemental. There we go. And that has burnt down quite a few rows. So we can now look around. Where was this one going that we burnt down? I'm trying to figure out. I think it may be some of this stuff that's still burning. Yeah, around here. So now we have this great big area that we can go around. And we can pick things up. And we have this basically hallway leading down this way, and it looks like the fire's even spread. No, that's just the result of the split, is that you have these two basically areas that the vineyard is joined, cut up into, and they've just joined together because we've burnt down one of the vines. Now, I'm not seeing a lot of wine for us to pick up, so we may actually end up having to go a little bit deeper than I would have liked. And we're not actually going to be able to fight that guy just yet. There we go. Fight him, grab that, and want to make sure that we are able to get back, and so want to pay attention to where we are coming from, where we are going, and of course this ivy is going to very helpfully point out the direction we're going in. And it looks like this row that we've burnt down is going to go for quite a while. We have a vine beast coming up on us, and so we want to kill it in a place where it's not going to cause us too much trouble. And doing that is kind of the best thing we can do because it has basically 0 total effect. I would like to be able to get to that wine, but that I think is not going to be an option. I think that avoiding vine beasts is more important than getting any one particular wine, and here's a whole bunch that we can pick up. And now we have that vine beast to deal with, and then let's see, I believe this will take us up to 9. Okay, so now I want to go back, and actually we can pick up our 10th one right there. And now I want to see if we can just thread our way back along the row that we have burnt down. And we can just kill that guy there. That won't give us any trouble. And here we have, of course, the ivy. Ah! Now, when we kill ivy, apparently it creates vines. That I didn't know, and I didn't expect that, and so now we are a bit trapped. And so we're going to have to go along one of these rows. I believe there's a 1 in 10 chance of spawning a vine spirit when you generate these, and so we can actually just lead it over here and get into this graveyard. And then we need, actually, from the graveyard, to collect necromancer totems so that we can get dead orbs. And dead orbs are just so generally useful that I think that they will be valuable to have, even though we still want to go on a Yendor quest without using them. Because that is something that I still want to attempt to do. It's still something that I think will be fun. But we can do that whether or not we have dead orbs. Having dead orbs doesn't prevent us from not using them. And so I think that it is worthwhile to get the necromancer totems and just have dead orbs available to us because they're useful for so many other things. Now, let's see, how many do we have? 4. So we are still quite a ways away from actually being done here. I do want to be watching out for an exit. It looks like this might be one up here. Ah, that looks like a crossroads type 2, so not the ideal of what I'm looking for, but it will serve. We can kind of use this as a base of operations, and now we actually have available to us an Orb of Flash. And I believe in the last episode we used an Orb of Flash to navigate the graveyard a little more easily too, so we're going to just try and do that again. Try and head out here. Try and actually get a pretty substantial way away from the door before we actually set that off. And the reason for doing that is just so that we have more area that we can explore. Now we have quite a lot of heat coming after us, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful about combating this. I believe ghosts cannot move through monsters as a general rule, though I believe they can move through tentacles. And we have quite a few necromancers still coming after us. And getting all of them fought is going to take us quite a while. And especially because we have these ghosts coming after us. And now we've actually been pushed far enough away that I'm a little bit worried about our ability to find the area that we blasted out. And so the shadow has already caught up with us, and it's kind of pretty up in the air whether or not we're going to be able to find it. It looks like we may not actually be able to do that. Now, I can remember that we passed a necromancer totem along the way, but I don't remember which one it was. I don't remember how far it was from the crossroads, so we have pretty much lost, even though we did a lot to try and preserve our connection to that crossroad, we've basically lost it because we got swarmed and weren't able to deal with it effectively, but we have picked up our 10th necromancer totem, and so I am going to escape into the land of eternal motion just as a land that I can move through quickly and freely and not really worry too much. I would like to pick up an orb of safety, or just enter a crossroads if we get the opportunity. But of course, running dogs have a pretty high chance of blocking us off from being able to go where we want. Now, ghosts in the land of eternal motion are extremely dangerous, so I'm now much more anxious to find an orb of safety than anything else. Let's see, there is a crossroads here that we can actually reach, and so we can grab the shield and the safety, and there we are through, and I believe we are in need of some fern flowers. So we will just pick those up, because that is something that we will need for a Hyperstone quest. I remember there being something very specific that I wanted to do that I mentioned at the end of the previous episode, and that may actually now have to wait for the next episode, because my plan was actually to re-watch that to remind myself what it was I said we were going to do. However, I have not done that, and so I just don't remember what it was. And now I'm actually thinking, should I put this on hold and see if I can remind myself? And that actually is starting to sound like a pretty good idea, so I'm going to do that. I will be back in a moment. Alright, so I have gone and checked, and it is apparently exactly what we've been doing, visiting the vineyard. Red Rock Valley is still something that we have to think about, and so that is going to be coming up, and also, of course, continuing to look for an Orb of Yendor with a key someplace that we can retrieve it. And so that is basically what I thought we were doing, and so I'm glad that I actually did remember, even though I thought that I hadn't. That's something that actually happens to me pretty often, is I will think that I don't remember what I'm doing, or I've forgotten something important, and then I will realize that actually I have not forgotten anything, or sometimes I will just kind of continue on with this sense of having forgotten. I will have this happen sometimes, that I'll need to clean something and I'll end up cleaning it like 3 times because I forgot whether or not I had cleaned it. And I now just kind of have become resigned to that and call it being Sphexish, and saying, oh, I guess it's time to be Sphexish about that, which is actually a reference to the Sphex wasp, which there was a famous experiment where this wasp would go into, like, it would dig out a cave, and then it would get, like, an egg and push it into the cave, but before it pushed it into the cave, it would go in and check that everything was all right. And if a researcher, while the wasp was checking, moved the egg back a little bit away from the cave entrance, the wasp would pull the egg once again up to the entrance of the cave, go in and check that everything was okay, and then come out again. And it would repeat this indefinitely, so long as the researcher kept moving the egg. And so it kind of became symbolic of this kind of thoughtless repetition. So, okay, so we now know that the Orb of Discord is in fact the orb from the zebra. So that is a little bit more clarity. I think it's pretty obvious that the Orb of Summoning is from the elemental plane because it summons elementals so frequently. And as I say that, of course, I'm thinking, well, that seems obvious to me, but is it really? There are many ways that you could think about things, and just the fact that I think about it in one particular way does not actually mean that that is the only way of thinking of it. So the Orb of Summoning. We cannot summon in... Oh, maybe we can. Ah, no, that's using the Orb of Matter to create walls. Let's see, we create an elemental if we put it in the Cocytus. A fire elemental, that's interesting, and then it immediately drowns. And it looks like that is consistent. So, let's see, it looks like we're going to summon an earth elemental if we put it in the water. Or, I mean, on the shore. And let's see, a troll it looks like if we... a troll if we put it on the land, and a Viking if we put it in the water, and a pirate if we put it out on the open sea. That is pretty cool. So now I kind of want to see, okay, so we summon an earth elemental if we put it there, and it looks like, yeah, still a pirate if we put it on the open sea. So I have yet to really figure out what the use of this is. Let's see, it looks like an air elemental if we put it in the tower. And perhaps now we can actually use the Orb of Discord. Let's see, maybe to... Oh, a water elemental in the jungle that will hopefully fight those ivies once it recovers from summoning sickness. And of course now we have this earth elemental coming up to us, which seems to have left a rather odd path. Oh no, there must have been a water elemental that we summoned. I have lost track of actually what all we have done. I have been perhaps a little bit reckless with my goofing around and not paying enough... Oh my goodness. The Viking has attacked the dead ivy. So it looks like they will get... I wonder why the Viking is attacking 4 times on one turn. 5 times even. But that is kind of an interesting effect of the Orb of Discord. Now, an Orb of Discord would be very useful at the edge of... Well, actually, no. I was going to say at the edge of the Land of Power it would be very useful, but I actually realized that there's only ever 1 guard at each of these entrances. And so we would not actually be able to get them to attack each other. Especially because they don't move if we are outside of the Land of Power. So I think the thing to do... Let's see. So we still actually need 4 more fern flowers. We still need to get into the Land of Power. And we still want to get an Orb of Yendor. And so I think going alongside the Hive for a little while is going to be a good idea, because that will give us a lot of opportunities to find Orbs of Yendor that have their key in the Hive. Now, of course, we need to see Orbs of Yendor for that to happen, which could take a while, and so we're kind of going to be grinding once again, and I'm going to pick up some teleport so that if I make another really big error like I made earlier in this part of the episode, that will not hopefully cost us too much, though those orbs of teleport do not last very long. And of course I have become a little bit lost and turned around, and so I dropped into that orb of safety just kind of as a way of resetting the area and making sure that wherever we went would be someplace that we have not been before. Looks like this water elemental is actually going to prevent us from progressing in the direction that we were going, but we haven't been going this way. Oh, well, actually we can use the Orb of Teleport since we don't have that many charges left on it. Let's see. That's an ivory tower. We have a nest over here that is a little bit dangerous, and I want to give it a wide berth, and so we're going to just go around, and it looks like we have not aggroed any bugs, so that is good. So, we are looking for, actually, probably the first of a dry forest, or an Orb of Yendor, or a Red Rock Valley that has exactly the right orbs in front of it. We kind of have so many options that we are just going to take whatever the first one is presented to us. And I noticed something about something burning, but I missed the status message, and so we are going to have to just hope that that didn't matter. And we can summon a bomber bird here, and it looks like it's going to get pushed off into the graveyard by that hedgehog warrior, but we will carry on. Bomber birds I always think of as something that is, it's nice, but is not at all necessary. Let's see, here is an Orb of the Dragon, and so now I want to actually use some of these dead orbs that we have picked up to see if we can find our way to Something that we can use it on. And so we're going to be kind of looking around in some of these areas. The area just contained within 14 paces, I think, is such a large area that we should have plenty of time to explore, plenty of stuff to find. And there are a number of things that we are looking for. So as long as we remember which dead orb, and I'm actually going to put a couple of them together like that. Oh, that was a mistake. And that may actually be game over, because all we have is the Orb of Summoning. And we cannot actually do anything. That's really frustrating that I went and made such a careless mistake. And of course, I think if I summon one more elemental or one more pirate, there we go, game over. We can see how it ended. We can kind of look around, and unfortunately it's going to pop up the game over screen anytime I pan around. But we can kind of look around and see if a Red Rock Valley was anywhere within reach of where we were looking. And it looks like we haven't even generated a lot of these cells. Though it's a little bit hard to tell with the game over screen up there. So there's the Orb of the Dragon that we had. And I'm kind of just scanning around to see, you know, was there some place that we could have used it really effectively? And I'm not seeing any place, but that doesn't mean that it didn't exist. And there may have actually been uses for it that I didn't even think of. So, in the next episode, we are going to come back and just try again. I don't know, I mean, I feel like a Hyperstone quest is still something that I want to work on. I feel like I need to still work on being a lot more careful and a lot less careless. We have not really done a lot in the ocean, and so I think I want to focus on doing some stuff at sea. See if we can get the Whirlpool and the Caribbean knocked out. And then we can actually play around with the Orb of Time a little bit, and I think that we can find some good synergies. I was thinking earlier about some synergies that would be augmented by the Orb of Time. Thinking about things like using the Orb of Shielding with the Orb of Time to get into positions where I could get some of the multi-kill achievements and stuff like that. We also, of course, still want to go on a Yender quest. And we still have a Princess quest to go on. We also have the Black Mark achievement to work on. One way that we can use the Orb of Time is to extend an Orb of Shielding, go into the minefield and just try and aggro a whole bunch of hostile bomber birds. And then use the Orb of Shielding to kill them all in a circle around us to get the Black Mark achievement. So that is something that we are going to attempt to do in the future. For now, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.